Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. So what does food mean to you? Well, thank you for joining us today. This is the first show of the new year of 2024. Wow, I can't believe we're in 2024. And my special guest today is Catherine Staffieri, who is a dietitian, and she is going to tell us how to stay healthy in the new year by eating healthier. So, it's really not that hard to do. So, stay tuned for my special guest. And since it's the new year, I did want to share some fun facts about the new year. Well, first of all, did you all know that this is a leap year? So 2024 is a leap year, means that February gets an extra day. So this year, we have until February 29th, bringing the total number of days in the year to 366. This happens to adjust for the slight discrepancy between the Earth's orbital period and the 365-day calendar year. The last time we had a leap year with a number 4 at the end was 2004. Did you know that the world didn't all ring in the new year at the same time as the earth spins? Different time zones welcome the fresh start in waves. So India's arrival marked the halfway point, with about half the world's population already in 2024. The biggest simultaneous celebration occurred when China, Taiwan, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, and Western Australia greeted the New Year's together. Imagine 25% of the world partying all together at once. And did you know that January 1st was not always the official start of the new year? The ancient Romans marked the new year in March, while the Babylonians celebrated with the spring equinox. It was Julius Caesar who in 45 BC declared January 1st the beginning, aligning it with the Roman god Janus, who symbolized beginnings and endings. Speaking of Janus, his two faces, one looking back at the past and one looking forward to the future, perfectly embody the essence of the new year, reflecting on lessons learned and embracing the hopes and possibilities ahead. Hope you all had a great New Year's celebration, and here's wishing a happy and healthy New Year to everyone. And stay with me for this fun interview with Catherine Staffieri about staying healthy in the new year by eating healthy. Stay with me. And today my special guest is Catherine Staffieri, and she is the nutrition manager at NutriSense, and she's also a dietitian. And we're going to talk today a little bit about the correlation between immunity and diet. So like what you eat, right, Catherine? And immunity has a strong correlation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on the show today.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here. So tell us a little bit about that. I always consider food almost like medicine. It's kind of like a medicine. So people don't realize that food correlates to your health in many different ways.
I totally agree. I think a lot of times people think like, oh, immunity, maybe that's like a supplement, or, I just need to take like these 3 pills and then I won't get a cold or anything. But
Right.
what we've learned is that it's really about this, the whole foods, the actual foods, like the meals that you're eating, and the interplay of different foods. And I think it's not just taking, as it's not just taking one thing one day. It's having like a diet that supports these foods on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, right? Because it's not like you can just take one thing and all of a sudden,
Magic.
Everything's perfect,
Yes.
right?
Exactly. And I think so many people want like a magic, like a magic pill or something, oh, if I eat a blueberry, I'll be healthy for like a month. It's not quite like that. And yes, during the winter months, especially for those of us that live in colder climates or climates that get a little cooler, a lot of times, for whatever reason, the immunity levels drop. But I think through diet, there may be ways to help prevent that. So, maybe you can kind of fill us in on some of that.
Yeah, totally. And I think, vitamin C is one of the ones that everyone kind of talks about. So we don't have to go into that as much. I think that's sort of a no-brainer, if you will. But I would say certainly there are lots of different foods out there that do have vitamin C in them. So, for your listeners, it's not just an orange or something like that, but there are so many different foods that have, that have vitamin C in it. But I think what's really great is talking a little bit about zinc. And
Uh-huh.
that's a mineral, not a vitamin. It's a mineral that's really critical for immune function, and helping to really help support a robust immune system. So people can find zinc in foods like beef or lamb, also oysters. This is sort of like a fun time of year to maybe have some oysters out with friends if you're going to celebrate something fun. Even in cocoa, right? Have some hot cocoa, and you can get a good source of zinc from there. So zinc is really wonderful for immune health. And then other things like vitamin D is really great. And as you mentioned, people that live in the Northeast, we don't have as much vitamin D because of the sunlight, and it's chillier, and we're not sitting out there in our bathing suits or tank tops that maybe some of our southern friends are enjoying right now. So trying to find some of those sources of vitamin D right now are really great. Things like egg yolks or mushrooms or fatty fish. Those are really good sources of vitamin D, which can also help keep your immune system feeling robust.
Mhm. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's good. Definitely good to know. And how about any types of I guess fruits and vegetables? Well, I know you mentioned some things, but any types of fruits and vegetables people should try and concentrate on. I know we talked about oranges, so I'm sure like oranges, grapefruits, even lemons, so the vitamin C, but
Yep. Yep, totally. And I think, actually we have a really great, so I work for a company called NutriSense, and we have
uh-huh.
a great blog and a great, like a journal article that we put together, and it's 30 best immune boosting foods. So there's 30 different foods that we highlight that can really be so helpful. And when it comes to vegetables, things like citrus fruits, or that's a fruit, fruits and vegetables, like the citrus fruits we all know about, but things like red bell peppers are really high in vitamin C. Kiwi, things like blueberries and papaya are all really great. So these are all things that you can incorporate. Tomatoes into your, just on a daily basis, to be taking in some of these things is really wonderful. Kiwis are really good. And they also, a lot of these foods just have antioxidants. And I think sometimes people don't totally know what an antioxidant is. And so, an antioxidant helps it's like a scavenger, right? It helps sort of fight off the bad guys, like and so we want to take those in so that we keep the inflammation down. And that's really what we're trying to do with that, right? We're trying to keep our fighter cells, our white blood cells, which are our fighter, sort of the army against the invading germs and things like that. So we want to be able to provide those cells with all the right energy. And to help them, we can also take in foods that have antioxidants in them. They sort of help the fighter white cells fight against the bad things. So it's great to do that. And then we also just want to make sure that our cells are working in the right way. And we want to be, feeding them, the right kinds of food, so that our cell function is really going off as strongly as it can. And that's where, making sure that you're taking in a lot of good protein sources, and you're keeping your glucose levels in check so that you're not taking in a ton of refined carbohydrates and sugary foods.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I've started doing, and I know if I tell people, they're like, oh, but you know what? When you make those smoothies, because a lot of times I don't have time to, and I'll get a good quality like protein drink that I can make, say for lunch. I actually add spinach, I add cabbage, Brussels sprouts to my smoothie. I add like cacao powder too, because flavors it. But you don't even know I call it my salad in a shake, because you really can add things like that. So if spinach, kale, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, you can actually add that to your smoothie, and you won't even taste it if you add in blueberries and some berries and stuff like that. I even do like shredded zucchini in my oatmeal with cinnamon and stuff, and you can really reap the benefits of that stuff by adding that stuff in, and you don't even know, really don't even taste it. For somebody, I mean, I love vegetables, so I don't mind tasting it, but sometimes to make sure I'm getting all my vegetables, I just do add it into things that people think you really, they would never think of. It's really an easy way to get your vegetables in and fruits. Mm-hmm.
I think that is such a great idea. Those are things that can be very mild in flavor. And so by adding something like cinnamon and, some fruits and vegetables and cacao powder that can sort of, mask that, so you don't feel like you're drinking Brussels sprouts.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
it's a great way to add fiber, right? And that's another part of having a healthy immune system, is having a healthy gut system, which we all know that there's been all these really interesting links between gut health and immune health. And part of having a healthy gut is having a lot of fiber and keeping things moving, and all your sort of systems moving,
Uh-huh.
and increasing your fiber intake with things like, adding extra vegetables and extra fruits into your daily intake. You will have extra fiber, which will help your gut system hugely.
Uh-huh. Any tips on keeping it healthy for the holidays? I know we weren't supposed to talk about it, but I'll just throw that in because we're in the holiday time. So just any quick tips.
Yeah. So NutriSense, the company that I work for, is all about glucose management. And one of my biggest tips for the holidays in terms of managing your glucose is having some protein before you have your carbohydrate. So it sounds kind of funny, but like if you're going out to a holiday party or a cookie swap, make sure you have some protein before you leave. Maybe a big cup of bone broth, or a nice, Greek yogurt, plain Greek yogurt, something like that. Give yourself a real good baseline of protein before you go and enjoy some of your more decadent holiday meals.
That's definitely a great tip. Yep. Yeah, and I know the holidays, especially because everybody gets overworked and overstressed, is also a time that people are not really taking care of what they're supposed to be eating, and that drops your immunity level too, right? As well as being the overworked if you're not keeping up with your diet.
Totally. The stress of things, and we're running around like crazy, and we're eating on the go, and we're taking little things here. Just try and take a minute, pack some snacks if you can. If you're going to run errands, or you're going to be gone for a long time, pack some really good healthy snacks so that you're always prepared and you're not stressed out and hangry, right? We don't want a hangry crowd.
Exactly. I always tell people, and I do that all the time. I always just throw stuff. I keep these little snacky bags, and I always throw like sunflower seeds or raw sunflower seeds or this or that little snack. So exactly, you don't want to get the hungry, like low blood sugar headache or whatever, and then start munching out on stuff that you shouldn't be eating because you're just so hungry. So that's
And
great.
yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, that's great. I was just going to say, Catherine, so tell people where they can find you and find NutriSense.
Absolutely. So you can find NutriSense online, www.nutrisense.com. We have a great journal, blog that people can read. We have so many wonderful articles that show how blood sugar regulation is related to basically any healthy goal that you have. It's really one of those key factors for health, longevity, energy, immunity, really wherever you are in your life, you can benefit from this. So I encourage everyone, we're on all the social media platforms as well. So you can check us out and you can see how people use their blood sugar data to help them reach their health goals.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. So that's nutrisense.com. Is that
correct?
That's great. That's easy enough. Great. All right, Catherine, much success with that. And hopefully we'll see you in the near future with any other updates on, of things you might have added to NutriSense or whatever, or that you're working on.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the chance to chit chat today, and happy holidays.
Thank you. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show, and thanks to my first guest of the new year, Catherine Staffieri, who is a dietitian, and special thanks, as always, to my producer, Britton Roselle. And as always, you can find me at marialiberati.com, at Instagram at Maria Liberati, and on Facebook at Chef Maria Liberati, on Twitter at Maria Liberati, on Vimeo at Maria Liberati, on the new YouTube channel for the Maria Liberati podcast. You can see most of the podcasts in video at the channel. It's called the Maria Liberati Show, and you can find my Gourmand World Award-winning books, which the series is called The Basic Art of Italian Cooking. You can find them on Amazon, on Kindle, and really anywhere books are sold, online or offline. And if you have any questions on any of the shows or have any suggestions for guests, please write to us at info@marialiberati.com. And you can also check out the site for the podcast. It's at themarialiberatishow.com. Until next week, peace, love, and pasta.